and you are trying to get some ideas and do some collaboration features, it's nice to get everybody there. And then the sticky notes are movable, so you can start putting things into categories, organizing your life a little bit. We thought this was kind of a fun activity to do while everybody comes in from the keynote session.
So this is Kat Collins, just letting you know I did start the recording so I wouldn't forget it.
Oh, good. Thanks.
Oh my God.
Congrats, by the way.
What's that?
I said congrats to Sarah. We've done leadership together for the last little while.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Well, I can read your lips a little.
I got the no sound part.
A couple of the ways that
Awesome.
All right, we'll give it just a few more minutes of interacting with the Jamboard before we get started with our presentation. That way we don't miss anybody for the very first section.
Right.
If you just joined us, there's a link in the chat to a Jamboard that Brandy created.
I am so sorry. Hi, Jody. It's so great to see you. That Jamboard was awesome. I've never used it, and then clearly I didn't know how to get back onto my Zoom screen, so I'm sorry.
It happens. It happens.
I've got kids running around in the back, so I'm here for all of these things. I just am going to let everyone know I'm not trying to be rude. I'm just going to keep my camera off and my sound down.
That is life right now.
I have a dog back there. That's all I got.
Oh, it looks so cute.
The part I'm appreciative of is nobody has a smoke alarm detecting thingies beeping. Those I'm tired of hearing the smoke detectors go off in other people's houses.
Brandy, where is that? Where do you locate Jamboard from? Is it a free tool? Is it in Google?
It is. It's a Google product. Jamboard.google.com. We'll put that in the link.
Thank you.
Yes, or put that in the chat. Yeah, there you go. I spelled board now. Jamboard.google.com. It is free. You can embed that in different places depending on what you're using. It's very easily shareable, and the nice part is anyone can use it. Although it's easier if your kids or your students have Google accounts. You do have to set it up on a computer. Once it's set up on a computer, you can still use it on a mobile device, a tablet, any of those things. Really nice feature. All right, we were going to use the poll feature in Zoom to kind of show you how that works, but we're not the host of the meeting, so we don't have those options. So instead, I think, let me share, actually, Jody, if you want to share your screen and you want to pull up that poll. We are about supporting our families during distance learning. Actually, I think someone has. So if you want to mute your volume for a minute.
To mute people too.
There, awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, so do we want to interact in the chat, Brittany, or
why don't you go ahead and introduce everybody and why we're here, and then we can do that poll.
So we're going to go ahead and get started. The presentation that you're in today with us is supporting families during distance learning. As you know, communication can get pretty difficult when you don't see people. I think probably the biggest thing I miss is being able to communicate with parents at the bus and at the front of the school when the kids are coming, just being able to touch base with people and let them know the things that are going on. And so that presents a pretty big challenge for all of us that are just trying to fill people in on the wonderful events and things that are happening. And now I would venture to say more than ever, being able to communicate with families is essential because there are so many new things that even the people that have 4 kids that have come through the school don't know what's going on because school processes are so different. So my name is Jody Notch. I am the principal at Cozine Elementary School, and my co-presenter is Brandy March. She is the principal at Goins Elementary. We are in North Las Vegas, just south of the Aliante Casino. Maybe 2 miles from each other, would you say? But
Yeah.
we compared demographics again this morning, and quite a bit different student demographic, which is kind of cool because we get the opportunity to try tools to see how they work with different family backgrounds. Our Twitter handles are both on the screen. We'll share them again at the end, or our email addresses too. So we'll share those at the end too, but we are in Google for CCSD under Brandy March and Jody Notch. We are going to, in the chat, do a poll, and I'll turn this over to you, Brandy.
Like I said, essentially we're going to do this cool on-screen poll so you could see the features, but you know, technology, that's not going to work for us today. So if you open up the chat and just add in like what level of what's your comfort level with digital communication nowadays. If you can't find the chat, it's at the very bottom. There should be a little chat button down there. It will open up your chat either on the side, or you can pop that out and move it around. Are you advanced? Like, just ask me those questions because I have probably done it and I know an answer for you. I don't know if any of us would really say that.
In which case, we're turning to you, and there's a question we don't know how to answer.
Intermediate, I've tried the digital tools. I'm getting more comfortable. I've used them a few times. And novice, I know they're out there, but I don't know what's happening with life right now. So we're trying. Pretty much, I'm gonna guess most of us are at like the 1.5 to 2 range, right? I'm gonna make myself, I'm gonna make us have half levels because I feel like that's a thing nowadays. But this just kind of gives us an idea to make sure we're adjusting our presentation to who's here today.
I have to say hi to Dana. Dana, I could throw a rock at your school from here. Hi.
Just around the corner, awesome. Well, thanks so much for joining us, everybody. Like Jody said, we are all about digital communication nowadays and trying to make that as simple and as easy as possible. So I'll let Jody talk a little bit more about that.
Right, so one of the biggest things right now is, like I said earlier, we only really have the option to communicate digitally with families. We don't have the option for paper flyers. Even if we did have paper flyers, I would venture to say that I don't know if maybe half of them actually even got home from the student folder to the backpack to the parents. And that's not even an option right now. So at the beginning of the year, Brandy and I were kind of chatting about how the need is there to communicate with families in a different method. Those of you in Clark County know that we have ParentLink, we have that option, but there are very limited features to ParentLink, and although it's great to send a mass email to everybody, we needed something that was a little bit more detailed, a little bit more interesting, and so we found some digital newsletters. Digital newsletters are pretty neat because they give you the opportunity to embed content into a website, share content on social media, email flyers to families that are more than just a narrative type content. And digital newsletters are kind of neat because unlike the green piece of paper that your kid brought home that now you can't find, a digital newsletter is in your email and you can refer back to it. And that I can share you I'll share some statistics showing you how I know that that's actually happening with the digital newsletter we're using. So some digital communication options. We decided just to focus on one interactive, how would you describe that? Like a back and forth type communication device, and then one post newsletter device. I'm going to start with the newsletter device that we're using, and the one that we use is smore.com. So I'll give everybody a chance to kind of write that down. Brandy is going to share the link to this presentation when we're finished in the chat so that you all can open this, and at the very bottom of this page, there is a link to a screencast video on how to create a s'more. I'm going to walk through it today, but I know sometimes watching somebody do it and then doing it on your own there's some lost connections there. So there's going to be a screencast linked in the presentation so that you can get to it. And so I'm going to exit out of this. I'm going to go to the S'more website. So when you first go to S'more, can everybody see S'more? You give me a yes or a thumbs up. Yeah, okay. So when you go to s'more.com, it's actually a really awesome way to create a newsletter in a format that you can interact with the specific audiences that you have. I'm going to show you my screen here. I have 2 different newsletters that I put out every week. I have one to my staff and I have one to my families. The family newsletter that I have is called the Cosine Connection, and the staff newsletter is called the Cosine Communique. That's historically just been what they call it here, so we went with that. I'm going to go up to my S'more in just a second and show you everything, but before I do that, I want to talk about why S'more is great, especially in this era of budget cuts. So S'more is free. The free account that you get as an educator gives you the ability to send, Brandy, do you remember what the free account is? How many emails?
I'll look it up while we're talking.
Okay, yeah, so there's a limited amount of emails that you can send. What we figured out is it's about 1 or 2 newsletters a month. You can design super easy drag and drop type designs. There is one educator plus plan. So if you look under my name, you can see that. That plan is $150 for the year. That's the upgraded plan. And what that does is it gives you like 30 or 50,000 emails that you can send. So basically you can email out an email to families every single week, every staff member. It gives you a lot more range in the number of emails you can send. And also the reason that we went ahead and purchased that as opposed to using the free account was it gives your families access to translation for the newsletter in every language that Google translates into. So we have a pretty high Spanish speaking population. We have a really big Tagalog population here and Tagalog speaking population, and the newsletter can be translated into those. And I've had native speakers read those. They were pretty happy with the translation, stating mostly that things like the word canvas literally translates to what a canvas is in Spanish, but that they were pretty happy with the product. So I have the One Educator Plus account. That's $150 a year, which is definitely manageable in the budget for what this gives you. So I'm going to go to my S'more and my newsletters. First, I'm going to pull up a newsletter from the beginning of the year where there were so many people that were just unsure of what was going on. So if you look, this is one of my family newsletters, a Cosine Connection. One of the things that is so awesome in the S'more platform is this analytics tab right here. So if you look, I've had 4,517 views on this newsletter. I'm going to pull up the analytics tab and I'm going to show you, it gives me how people were directed here. So 2,592 directions came from the website. 142 came directly from a link to this. And then 1,783 came from an email, which means when I sent this home in an email to families, they click that link. It also shows you some of the outgoing links that are in my email that people click. So Brandy and I were spending a lot of time putting links in for parent resources, and we noticed that only maybe 2 or 3 people started clicking links, and that gives us some statistics on what energy we're putting in and how we can maybe advertise a little differently based on what people are clicking on. I'm going to click this locations tab. This is pretty neat. I can see that all across the United States, my newsletter is getting clicked, obviously quite a bit here in the Las Vegas area. I know I have a family that's the dad is deployed and he is in Paris. And so every time I see clicks from Paris, I really like that I can connect with that family, even though he is deployed. And I have a visitor from Ireland on this newsletter. So it's pretty neat that it shows you the map. But probably my favorite way of looking at stuff is to look at the email report. So as I told you, people are clicking multiple times. If you look at the top, this newsletter's had 4,517 visits between August 7th and September 26th, today. That email was sent out to 853 email addresses. It was delivered to 803. This email was opened 509 times, so I know the difference in who I'm missing in opening an email, and that it was clicked on 247 times. I also can see that 46 emails, obviously we can get that from here, are bounce backs, but it's pretty neat to say this was open 509 times, but it had 4,517 visitors. These people that are on it are really referring back to the data that's in there. I'm gonna click one more newsletter so you can see something that's a little bit more current. This is the one that was sent last week, September 14th. So these are probably pretty similar statistical views to what most of my newsletters now are getting. One of the things that's kind of neat is Brandy, like I said, has a very different demographic, even though she's very close, and her views are the same. So email gives us the opportunity to reach all of these people, regardless of their demographic background. I'm gonna go to this email report one more time. So you can see now I'm up to sending 930 emails. 868 are delivered. I'm down a little bit to 434, and that view count is 1637. But it's pretty neat to see, again, who is getting my emails and where they're going. Again, my dad in Paris, which I think is pretty neat, and then where that is across the country.
Doing that, I know there was, or while she's pulled up the next thing, I know there was a lot of people who are just joining us. The keynote session went a little long, and we didn't quite get that message. So if you're coming in late, I know they said they would adjust the schedule, but we didn't quite get that message. So we apologize for starting right at 10, but we are talking about family engagement and family newsletter, digital communication and family engagement. And at the moment right now, smore.com. There are free accounts to that if you want to look into that, smore.com. And this is our Jody's version of that. So just to kind of recap for those people who just came in.
Like I said, so like Brandy said, this is a Smore newsletter. So this is a finished one that's been sent out. This was sent last week, our communication for the week. I can do things like just a general note. We recently had a principal appointed to the school, so there was a video announcing that. I can give updates about breakfast and lunch processes, whatever's going on. I put a little blurb in here about map testing, the health services survey, a link to our calendar page on our website. Basically, I can just highlight the most important things that are happening. Up at the very top, there are a few options here when you are creating. The first one is to share, thanks Dana, to share with, in the Educator Hive, anybody that's familiar with Canvas, this is sort of like Commons, you can share your templates. In the Educator Hive, there are also other templates there, so that if you're just kind of drawing a blank on where to start, you can go there. Sending a newsletter, I'm going to show you that option in just a second. Copying and embedding a newsletter, we'll get to where this newsletter, I embed it every single week in our staff Canvas course and in my school's website, and Brandy does the same. So this is just a really quick link. And then this send a newsletter gives you an option to do a mailing list. So here we go. I have 2,600 email credits left. My monthly allowance is 30,000 emails, 26,000 left.
If you use the free account, you're limited to 3 newsletters a month and 200 emails. So depending on how you're setting them out, that might be enough for you, at least to try it out, see if you like it.
I do not send the link via Blackboard, Gary, because what I do is I download all of the parent email addresses and share this. I create a new, see how this says Cosign Parents, 857 recipients. Every single week, I download a new list of parent email addresses from Infinite Campus. We have links and tutorials on how to do that a little bit later in our presentation. So it takes about 3 minutes to download the emails. I modify my contact list for my parents and I send it out directly from SMORE. Brandy, I'm gonna let you speak about why you started doing that.
So when we started by sending just a link directly through email, through parent link, as you can see there on the screen, it says copy or embed link. The couple of problems with that, one, not as many people were looking at the newsletters because it was an extra click. What we found is when they get it sent directly into their email and it looks cute and professional, that we were getting a lot more views and shares. Parent Link now has an option that you can add a s'more directly in Parent Link. I haven't got the feature to work yet, so I'm letting it settle to try and see if that's gonna work eventually. I couldn't get them to talk together consistently, so I gave up and just did it this way. We got a lot more engagement, which is why we're sending it directly through s'more.
So it is available to send in Infinite Campus or embed into Canvas. But we had way more interaction with sending directly. So I'm going to go back to my newsletters really quickly. I'm going to click one of the ones that's been out for just a little while. Brenda's question, do you have analytics to see how many are read? So if you click on the analytics tab, it will give you an email report where I can see that it was delivered to 882 people, 487. So at this point, I'm just about half, but to me, I feel like the energy that I'm putting into this to get 500-ish people out of my student population, which is 640, I think that's pretty, you know, it's a pretty good percentage. It's definitely a simple.
Sorry.
Okay, so I'm really quickly
Running on my face.
I'm gonna go to, I have a Cosign communique. I send a staff email out every Friday and I did not send that and finish that because I wanted to show you guys what it looks like and how simple it is to design. So the communique is our staff newsletter. I just want to go into edit a newsletter. So you can see this one has not even been published yet. It hasn't been sent to anybody. But when you are creating, I have a template that I use. You have the option to click this plus here. I can add text, I can add titles, I can add pictures, which is really cool because then I can just drag and drop a picture or download a picture from my computer. I can add, I think this one is really neat. You know, when we are back in session and we're going to have a holiday party or whatever, you can add an event where people can RSVP. I can embed a link in here to a video. So Brandy and I record a lot of tutorial videos for the parents, and I put that on the school website, but then also I can embed that link here just by clicking embed and typing the URL for that. So it gives us, again, video is there too. It gives us an opportunity to, anybody that knows the district, they give out a lot of training options and we can put that in there with links. Every week I give my staff a to-do list. So for those of you in CCFD, you know, required videos are due November 13th. I put a week at a glance here, including our meetings, dates, birthdays. I have a little picture. I showcase a picture that somebody has put a bunch of energy into every week. And then down at the bottom, it gives you those options to say, okay, I want to put a picture in, but I want to move this higher in my presentation. So maybe I'll put a picture in right here and I'll put a photo gallery, you know, showcase what's been going on. So this is my general overview of what the content is. Now, for those of you that are like me, I'm going to show you just a quick thing about designing a background. So I don't change my background because I want people to see that they've got a consistent newsletter. Brandy does change her background every week and every session, and it just, I guess that's personal preference on what you want and your rationale. If you get the pro account, you have a few different background images. So I'm going to go to education 3. I have lockers. I have rubber band ball. I always think this looks like gummy worms though, so that makes me angry. I have all kinds of fun designs to choose from. I actually really love this one. That's new since I did mine. I probably would have chosen that, to be honest. But I can click a background. I can also click different templates depending on what you like as far as font choices. Obviously, if you're sending it to kids, you're going to want to make sure you've got a really simple font. If you're sending stuff out to your kids and your parents, you can change all of that. So I'm actually going to go ahead and pick this summertime. I think that that's kind of cute. I can change my background to that background that I like, and I can make my font. Oh, that one's nice, like that. And I can change those designs that way. Yeah, so it gives you some cute customizable options. That pro account, as we were talking, gives you a few more education designs. Even if you do the free one, the free designs are actually really nice too. And you can select from there. All right, so I'm gonna open it up to some questions about S'more. I noticed there have been a few questions in the chat, but because Brandy and I both been using this since, since we had any information to share with parents in early August, we can answer any questions that you may have.
One of the questions was about ADA compliant. So there are options when you add an image or a video to add that alternate text and to add those things to do so you can make those compliant, which is really nice for some of our families. We have a couple of families that are either hard of hearing or visually impaired, so we really reach out to those. Try to reach out to those. And as far as those not reading, what we've only done so far, and maybe Jody's done something different, is emails that have been bounced back. We take those emails out of our Infinite Campus system and then email the parent, and then call the parents and ask for an updated email address.
And I share the email report with my teachers and let them know, hey, I'm getting this many hits on this site. If your parents are asking, our parents reach out to families every day. Our teachers, reach out to parents every day, especially ones that aren't showing up. And so they know to promote this, like I said, is embedded in our school site. You'll see that in just a bit. We just try to make personal contact with families. I think sometimes, especially now, our newsletters are a little less meaty because things are starting to be routine. And so I think people are a little less panicked about trying to get access to information, but they know where that is and they know they can access that through the website, and the teachers all know that too. I share my family newsletter with my teaching staff contact list every week too, so they're aware of what goes out. And again, we have a staff canvas, and I put that on there so that they can see that they have a clear picture of what's being communicated from the school.
What we've found is the more, in all of the digital tools we're going to share and talk about today, the more you can communicate and the more places you can send that to parents, the better likelihood it is that they are reaching it. So there's a question about social media, email, parent link. We're going to talk about Class Dojo here in a second. And so every time we have a new newsletter, we send that out to everybody in all of the ways. It doesn't necessarily notify families of new content unless they've subscribed, which I don't think very many of our families have. And so each week we just send it directly to their email, and that's had really good results for us.
And so my family newsletter goes out every Monday for the week. I've had families say they can respond. You can set an email they can respond to. And I get quite a few emails. I would say maybe 10 to 12 emails a week that just say, hey, this is great. We look forward to knowing what's going on Monday. You know,
Brenda asked about open house or parent teacher conferences. We did open house before school, and that was probably our most read one email, because people went back to it so many times to get the information for open house. We'll do the same thing with parent teacher conferences. That is going to be shared in this coming, I look at my calendar, that's going to be shared in this coming week's newsletter, information about how to schedule, things like that. So
find that newsletter. What was the date of open house? I can't even remember that.
I don't know. And so we've had really good luck with getting families connected that way. And also when they call and ask for help, the people in the front office, our amazing staff, know to say, hey, did you see the newsletter? Because it's in there. And so that's helping people get connected as well.
Gary, would you like me to send it to my feeder at middle school?
We're happy to. You know, it's one of those information overloads. And so I feel I don't mind overloading our own families. I feel a little nervous about overloading the neighboring schools, but we would love to do that.
So
you know, we have a lot of your siblings. That's why I asked for that. Then we get some of the questions too. And we'd also like to know and promote some of your events, maybe things that are going on virtually as well.
love it. I think that Gary gets to get added to my parent list. As far as who contributes to the newsletter, my staff meetings are Thursday mornings. And every week in the staff meeting, I ask if anybody has anything that needs to go in the communication for the following Monday. So I put that out there in a staff meeting agenda that's digital, and people can contribute to it that way.
Yeah, like for instance, our school clerk has asked at various times, like, hey, attendance is dropping off. You should probably promote how to be positively attendant, how you can be marked as present. Why was that so hard for me? Marked as present each day. And then like for instance, first grade teachers came to me yesterday and said, look, we've got parents that are doing kid work. So can you please put that in the newsletter?
And my parents came to me, or my teachers came to me and said, can you put in the newsletter to have parents change their smoke detector batteries? So that's going to go out this week too. Okay, I'm going to turn it over to you, Brandy, for the next section of our presentation, which is Class Dojo. I'm going to stop sharing.
Yeah, perfect. Let's see if I can share the right one. Here we go. Awesome. So Class Dojo is another option we use for communication. I know for some of you, you're like, but if you're sending a weekly newsletter, why would you also send Class Dojo? For those of you who don't know, Class Dojo is twofold. One is for behavior management. And so you teachers can do behavior management tools. So positive and negative, there's a lot of ways to set that up. We'll look at that in a minute. But this year, we went school-wide with Class Dojo for a couple of reasons. We knew that digital learning was going to be hard for communication via email, and not everybody wants to share their cell phone number to get messages directly to parents, which is completely understandable. So this is a good alternative. Once the parents are signed up with their school or their class account, it allows me as the administrator to send out what's called a school story. And so I can send out a quick message to every parent immediately, all at once, and they get it directly to their phone or to their computer. Most of our parents we recommend getting the app on their phone. So when a school story or a class story is shared, they get a little ding in their phone and they know there's a message. Some of the benefits of Class Dojo are very similar to, let's see if I can zoom in here, make it easier to read, are very similar to SMORE. So for instance, this is my message yesterday to families. We have a whole school morning meeting Friday. So I send out a Friday right before the huddle. We send out a reminder. We also updated our schedule that's going to start on Monday. So it was in the newsletter the previous day, but I wanted parents to see it again. It tells me that the message has been viewed 500 times. I have comments directly from parents that I can then comment back. The comments on the school story are public, so anyone in Class Dojo can read those, good and bad about that. It tells me parents can like the message. It also tells me the translation, that it was viewed 3 times. If I click on that translation button, it then tells me who viewed it in a different language and what language they viewed it in, which is kind of nice. Last week, for instance, in this last week, my teachers sent out 8,000 emails through Class Dojo, 310 videos, and 100% positive feedback. So when we first started it, it was selfish of me to say, well, from a school perspective, I want to be able to have this direct communication with our families, and teachers, you also should think about using it. Well, the teachers have jumped on board, and it's fantastic. I'm going to share with you just a 4th grade sample. Each kid is assigned a monster, and depending on the teacher, they can modify and update their monster. This teacher is still using it for behavior points. If I clicked on a kid, it will tell you all of the behavior points that they can earn: helping others, being on task. This is modifiable, and the teachers can change that. Teachers can also say what maybe a negative, like, hey, you need to work on this. This teacher doesn't do that. It is only the positives, which I appreciate. In this, it also has a class story. So I was mentioning the school story. That shares to the entire school population at once. The class story is just between the teacher and her students or his students. They sent out messages. Hey, here's a reminder. The teacher can see how many views it's had, and if you click on that, it shows who's viewed it. So if you have a parent that's not, or a student that maybe isn't on track, you can see, well, is the parent reading the dojo? And that kind of can help change the conversation with the parents to start with. You can add images, you can add videos. It's very simple for teachers to use also. The other thing I like is there's a direct message component. So I've asked every teacher, they are, in addition to themselves in their class, they also add every specialist, both myself and the assistant principal, the counselor, and the Read by 3 strategist, depending on the grade level. Then as co-teachers, parents can direct message me at any time. Some people are worried about the direct message feature, but I find it to be so helpful because yesterday we had, for example, we had a beacon alert come across and I needed to get in contact with the parent who was not picking up the phone or answering any of the voicemails that I had left with everybody and their sister. So I messaged the parent through Class Dojo, and the parent immediately got back with me on Class Dojo, and I said, hey, you need to give me a call. And so we were able to connect that way, which is really helpful. Another option Class Dojo has is student portfolios. So students can connect and share. For example, they were sharing about their virtual expectations. So the kid took a picture of it and then shared it. And so they have this portfolio that works with them, goes with them for the rest of the year. They share videos and screens, ask questions, share pictures. This one's awesome because it says, sorry, my dog ripped my poster, which I feel like is great. It also, for the portfolios, is nice because the teacher has to review that post before it's posted. So it's a little self-check there. It's very simple to invite families. They, in old school ways, which was last year, they could send a paper home and you can sign up that way. But now you can sign up through a text message, email address, all kinds of things. So it makes it really easy to get parents on board. And then I love it also as an administrator because I go through Class Dojo almost every day and I click on the class stories and hear and see what's going on in the class. So sometimes a parent will call me complaining and I can go into Dojo and say, hey, did you see on Class Dojo? It says all the things. So that has been really nice as well. So the other huge benefit to Class Dojo is it's free. There is no cost involved, and it is very simple to use. So even our not so techie parents, grandparents especially, are connected and can now message each other. The other benefit is you can connect as many adults to one kid as you need. So for example, you connect mom and dad, but grandma and grandpa are the caregivers during the day. We can connect grandma and grandpa so they also are seeing the messages and they also have the ability to message the teacher. That has been extremely helpful. In fact, we have one daycare provider that's connected with parent approval. So,
So Brandy, we have just about 5 minutes left.
okay, well then we better go.
Um,
We just love all of these tools and we could talk about this. I don't know about a secondary program similar to Class Dojo. It does seem a little elementary aligned, but it is on the Regulation 4100 approved list.
So one of the other pretty easy options in Brandy, and I recognize that most everybody has a school website. Brandy uses Google Sites. There's a link there to that, and that is free. I use the free account from Weebly, and you can see this is a screenshot. We both embed those more newsletters. There's links to Dojo on there. There's all of the content on our website. These websites are drag and drop, very similar to creating a newsletter in S'more. You just say, I want to put a title here, and you can do your content. One thing that we really wanted to show people though, we're not going to walk through this on Infinite Campus, but we have referenced this a few times. If you are a district that uses Infinite Campus, down here at the very bottom of this slide, there are step-by-step instructions on how to run an email report so that you can copy the email addresses for all of the parents in your school. What this does is this runs an ad hoc. It gets the email addresses for the parents and guardians, and then you can put that in Excel and eliminate any duplicates for siblings so that the email doesn't get sent to them twice. As I mentioned earlier, it takes probably 2 minutes. Once you set up the options, the directions are very easy to follow on how to do that. The next one, I can get the link to that. Brandy, I'm going to let you talk about the next one, and I'll put the links to both of these documents in the chat.
The hidden feature I did not know about in Infinite Campus, if you use that, a hidden feature I just found out about is called Message Builder. Essentially, it would be like if you were using MailMerge. Someone's got a little bit of feedback. Perfect, thank you. If you were using MailMerge, so if you wanted to add in particular things into your email, for instance, at the beginning of the year, nobody knew their student email address or how to find their password or any of that stuff. So we created a form letter and put in MailMerge tags, or in here it's called form fields. And then an email with every student's actual email address went directly to that parent. So we didn't have to worry about privacy concerns, and no one else had to type in all of that information, and it took the load off of teachers. So if you have something you wanted to send, definitely look at Message Builder. It's a great option.
So I added both of those links to the chat. You have a link in the chat to this presentation. We should probably copy that and put that in there again for the people that joined after. And you can download, we embedded all of the directions into that presentation. It's going to give you the option to create your own copy of that, so you have that for yourself. Both of us are on here with emails and Twitter handles. We are super grateful that you guys joined us. It's really awesome to be able to share some kind of simple tools that will help you connect with your families, especially in these times where making connections can be so difficult. There is a survey for our session, and there is an entire survey for the whole day, if I'm not mistaken. Kat maybe can clarify, but Kat put the link to our session survey in the chat. We would really appreciate any feedback that you've got for us on this presentation. We are always growing and trying to learn and we're happy to be here with you.
And if you need anything, let us know. We
Thank
love-
you, Brandy and Jody.
Thanks, Kat, for moderating for us as well.
Oh, no problem. Thank you, Brady and Jody. Very helpful information today. Thank you very much. I hear there's a little bit of technical glitch with some of the Zoom rooms, but there is as we posted in the chat, there's the bit.ly link to the session survey. At the end of the day, if you're in that last session, you're going to get the survey to the whole symposium survey, and that's the one you'll need to reply to if you want to make sure you get the PD hours for your licensure renewal. So hang with us all day and get that survey at the end of the day. And thank you all very much for being here. Unfortunately, I have to close this meeting room and get to the next one. So you guys can't hang out and chat. That'd be great if you could. But if you would respond to that survey, copy it and paste it into your browser, and then hopefully we'll see you in one of the other meeting rooms. Thank you very much.
Thanks for joining us, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.